Hey everybody, welcome to this wild Wednesday here on Shane's Craft Beer Review. As you can see, I'm back in the kitchen because today I'm going to help you guys make one of the most iconic childhood treats, well, from my childhood anyway. Today, we're going to be trying to make sponge toffee. Let's check it out. Okay guys, so here's the ingredients that you need to make sponge toffee. 1 3/4 cup brown sugar, or you can optionally use white sugar. I'm going to use brown today. 1/2 cup of golden corn syrup, 1/2 cup of water, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 100% completely optional is 300 grams of chocolate. I have about 220 grams here. This is just a little bit left over from Christmas, so I'm going to use that. I'm only going to dip half of these, so this is completely optional if you don't want chocolate on your sponge toffee. And you'll also want to get yourself a 9x9 pan lined with parchment. I'm using an 11x7 or 11x8, I think, because I don't have a square 9x9 pan, but it should work just as well, as long as you have it wrapped in parchment paper. And lastly, a good sized pot. This stuff is going to expand quite a bit, so use a bigger pot than you think you're going to need. Oh yes, and I almost forgot, probably the most important piece of equipment you're going to need, a candy thermometer. Okay, so let's get our pot on the stove. We're going to add in our sugar, our salt, our corn syrup, and our water. Now we're going to put that up on a medium-high heat, and we're just going to stir that and start to get that sugar all dissolved in there. Okay, so as this starts to heat up, you actually don't want to stir it. What you want to do is just swirl this around. Just swirl it around. No stirring at all. And whenever you get time, attach your candy thermometer to the side, and we're going to try and get this up to 300 degrees. And at some point, you'll get this nice little bubbling concoction here. We're sitting, just a little under 200 degrees, so we'll get this up 100 more degrees, add some baking soda, and get this in the pan. Okay guys, so, I don't know if you can see that really quick. We're now at 300 degrees. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shut this heat off. We're gonna take this off the heat. Make sure you have your whisk handy, because this is gonna happen really quick and be probably pretty messy. So we're gonna get this off the heat, and this is where the big mess comes in. Add our baking soda. I'm going to hold this over here because I think this is going to expand quite a bit. And we're just going to whisk that in. Get that all nice and whisked in there. Now once we have this all whisked in, we're going to take our spatula, get it into our pan. Oh, there it goes. Now it's starting to expand and thicken up a little bit here. So now we have this mess in our pan. We're just going to stick this on the counter, let it cool down for a couple hours, and then go on to the next step. Okay, so our sponge toffee is all cooled off. What we want to do next, and this step is optional, you absolutely do not have to do this, but I want to do it. Get yourself a double boiler, or just do basically what I'm doing. I have a pot with some water in it and a metal bowl that's just going to fit there. Just make sure that the water is not touching the bottom of your pan here. And so all we're going to do is going to take our chocolate. We're going to stick it in there, put that on a medium heat, give it a stir, and get that going for now. Okay, so while our chocolate's melting, I've removed this from the pan and the parchment paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a sharp knife, and we're basically just going to try and puncture that in. That's probably not a good idea to do it that way because I just put a little bit of a stab in my counter. Anyway, we'll just continue to just keep hitting this and breaking this up into a bunch of little pieces. Okay, so we managed to bust this up into some little pieces. Some of them are a little bit bigger than others. It really doesn't matter. I'm gonna take some of the best ones out of here, and these are the ones I'm gonna dip in chocolate. I'm probably only gonna do about half of these. Over here, we have just these little small teeny bits and a bunch of crumbs. Now, if you want, you can actually save this and actually use the crumbs and the little pieces as a sweetener for your coffee, if you just want a little bit of a toffee flavor to your coffee. So you don't need to throw these little crumbs out. You can actually reuse them, like I said, in your coffee or your tea, or just if you want to sit here and take these little teeny pieces and just crunch on them. And that'd be fine too. Okay, great. So once your chocolate's done getting mostly melted, you can do one of two things. If you get it a little bit thinner than this is right now, you can just dip it in. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do something just a little bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a random piece of sponge toffee, and this is just like a silicone barbecue brush. And you can just kind of pick up your melted chocolate and just brush it all over your sponge toffee. And half the reason I'm doing this is because I do want a thicker coating on my sponge toffee. So that's why the chocolate isn't quite as liquid or melted as I wanted it, but that's okay. I can put a nice thick coating on here. Fantastic. Just leaving a little bit at the end there so you have a place to grab onto it without getting chocolate on you. And then you're just going to take that and put that in a parchment lined pan. Now one other option that you have, if you happen to have some coarse sea salt, again, this is an optional part. You can actually take a little bit of that sea salt, if you like a saltier kind of candy, and just sprinkle that on the chocolate while it's still warm. Okay guys, so there we go. There is our sponge toffee dipped in chocolate. I know I said I was only going to do about half of them, but I did absolutely all of them in chocolate. I did do a few with the salt on top. Again, I'm not a big salt fan, but I'm sure other people in my family are. So let's give these a taste test, shall we? Okay, the moment of truth. But before I try this, if you guys like these kind of cooking shows or drink shows, stuff like that, go check out Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. Teresa and Cam have a great channel over there, and they actually know what they're doing when it comes to actually making stuff. They do food, they do beer, they do wine, they do a whole bunch of really interesting stuff. They got some great content over there. So go check them out. Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. I'll leave a description in the link below. In the meantime, let's get into this and see what it's like. Cheers. Yeah, pretty good. All right, chocolate all right. The chocolate isn't quite set yet. It's still a little bit melty. Not bad. Almost tastes like a crunchy chocolate bar. Now, having said that, this does have just a touch of an overdone sugar taste to it. I don't think I swirled that pot enough. When I saw it in the recipe, it actually said don't stir it, just swirl it. I get a little worried when it comes to sugar because the sugar will burn on the bottom of the pan, and I think it just ever so slightly burnt. Not that it tastes bad at all, but you just get that little teeny hint of that little, almost kind of a burnt kind of caramelly charcoal. But it actually goes pretty good with this. All in all, not a bad little recipe. If you guys want, again, the recipe will be down in the description below. Plus it's also at the beginning when I listed the ingredients, so check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed this and tried it out. Thank you for joining me on another Wild Wednesday. We'll see you next time.